Hello, a little late, 5 minutes late or so from what I said, but I am here. It is Sunday, the 20th, I believe. Nope, 19th of March, 20th, 20th. It is March 19th, 2023, a Sunday, 3:05 p.m. Eastern Time. And this is a brand new episode of Dylan Knows, and just saying hello and hope you all had a good week. It was a hectic week this week, and sorry for the rare Sunday show, which actually isn't too bad, actually, because I'm a bit more awake and a bit more energetic, I suppose. So maybe I should go back to doing Sunday shows, because when this show started, those 9-10 years ago, it was on Sunday, but with football and then people actually having a better time when I had guests, easier time coming on Saturday nights instead of Sundays, it made sense to shift over to Saturday nights, and I just kept doing that. But rare Sunday shows like the one I had last week for the Oscars and this one have been, fairly well received and stuff like that. So maybe I'll continue doing that, but we'll see. But this is episode 492, the last days of winter. It's referring to the last week of winter, I should say, but the last day of winter is today. And technically most of the day tomorrow. This vernal equinox does not hit till about 5 p.m., 5:42 p.m. on Monday, the 20th. So spring is finally here. So all those people who keep complaining about the winter and blah, 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 you got your wish. Spring is coming here soon. And to celebrate, it is 37 degrees right now here in Reisterstown. It is supposed to get warmer, though, as the week progresses, as per it being spring. According to my weather app, it looks like special. It must be the wind. Yeah, enhanced for the spread of wildfires. Oh, that one always shows up. 52 tomorrow, 63 Tuesday, 59 Wednesday, 72 on Thursday, 64 Friday, 61 Saturday, 61 Sunday, 55 next Monday, 54 next Tuesday. So we'll be entering a warming trend here in a little bit. No 30s and no 40s in the forecast as we see in the next 10 days or so. But it has been quite a week here. Let me open this up so I can get a little sip of this here. Interesting tasting. Don't know if it's the best, but it's all right. Anywho, it's been quite a week this week. Let's see what was going on this week. We had the Oscars on Sunday. We had the NFL free agency opening up on Monday as well. We turned the clocks back Saturday night into Sunday. Talked about that already. We had Pi Day. We had the Ides of March. We had St. Patrick's Day. We had the beginning of the NCAA tournament. We had Pokemon Community Day on Saturday. We had, what else? My stepfather's 75th birthday would have been yesterday. He passed away a few years ago, but he would have been 75 yesterday. My daughter went away for her first work weekend. She's going to be working at summer camp for Scouts all summer, and they had their first training program this weekend. She's got another one sometime in April, and then another in June, I believe, is how it's going to be working. So she's got that work coming out, but she did that. And then my son went over to his friend Hunter's house on last night and picked him up Sunday. So one of the reasons why I'm doing a Sunday show today is because I had a rare date night with my wife. We went and got Qdoba, and then we watched The Fellowship of the Ring, and that was our extent of our date night. So that's all, but it was fun. And here we are. We got a new week coming. The kids have another half day this week coming up on Friday. This week isn't quite as busy as this week was. Our last week was. This week coming up, we've got the first day of spring, obviously tomorrow. My father-in-law's birthday is on Wednesday, and the kids have a half day on Friday. That's about it. So nothing really else major coming up. Getting closer and closer to Easter. Is it next weekend? No, it's not. It's not next. Hold on. Maybe it is. No, it's not. The second is Palm Sunday. Okay. So we're about 2 weeks away from Easter week coming up here. So that's going to be an interesting little thing rolling through here. So here we go. What do we got going today? We've got my Oscar recap. We've got, production starts, casting, food. The weekend review already did that. Some deaths, some anniversaries, some trailers, actually a lot of good stuff coming up really soon. Announcements, anniversaries, stuff like that. So your typical stuff. This shouldn't be very long. I have 3 pages of notes. Usually I have about 4, and so it shouldn't be extraordinarily long, even though the first bit I'm going to do is probably going to take a little bit of time. Here is the Oscar ballot. My Oscar ballot that I made my picks for on Sunday, did my show on Sunday for. My final tally was, my record was 13-10. So not bad. Could have been better, but not bad. I was surprised by All Quiet on the Western Front. That surprised me a lot. My take on the Oscars was a more calm, nuanced Oscars. And I guess I can stop blaming the myriad of stuff that the movies do, the show does about movies. Like they used to do like 5-minute segments about science fiction and movies. It's like, okay, that's great. We just want to see the awards. So they've been focusing more on the awards. They got all the awards into the show this week. And some of the stuff that got negative about it was people getting played off of the stage a little too fast in some cases. Skipping a bunch of people in the in-mem room, which they always tend to do and always upset somebody. But there have been some, crazy omissions. So that was kind of interesting. But the show itself, Jimmy Kimmel, I was never really been a big fan of his, but he did what he was supposed to do. I guess maybe if we would have cut his opening monologue, we could have gotten done, 10 minutes earlier, so it's not really that big of a deal. And then he did a bit, about 5-minute bit in there as well, where he's asking questions to the audience, but he had to because of the stage change. So I guess I could see that, but those are the only things I felt were a little bit fluffed out, even though his opening monologue was actually pretty funny, to be honest. A lot of talk about the slap from last year, but nothing like that happened this year. It was a fairly, as I said, calm, nuanced one, and entertaining, and my kids stayed up for the majority of it. And I think the right people won, despite my 13-10 record. But you got to keep in mind the shorts. I got all of them wrong, so that's 3 straight there. If I would have gotten them right, that would have reduced it to 10, 9, 8, 7 losses. So I got those. And as I said, All Quiet on the Western Front really surprised me because apparently Hollywood hates Babylon. Because the movies I thought that they were going to win, like the production design and costumes, got smacked out. So it's interesting, and a couple of surprises. But again, I think a lot of my dead certs popped up, even though one of my dead certs didn't, which surprised the hell out of me. But I'll give you a quick rundown, real quick. As I said, my record was 13-10. Everything Everywhere All at Once led with 7 Oscars. All Quiet on the Western Front came second with 4. The Whale had 2. Top Gun Maverick had 1. Avatar 2 had 1. Women Talking had 1. Black Panther 2 had 1. And RRR had 1. So I'm just going to go through this real quick, all 23 categories, tell you who the winner was, and maybe a little comment about it. So bear with me for about 3 to 5 minutes. So if you were not around, I'm just put this right here. 13 of 23, Dylan Lang. There we go. Best Picture, Everything Everywhere All at Once. I was extraordinarily happy with that. I called that. I'm happy with that. I'm not going to do it for everyone, but I like that. Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinhardt for Everything Everywhere All at Once won director, of course. Actor in a leading role, Brendan Fraser for The Whale. Very proud of that. Actress in a leading role, Michelle Yeoh for Everything Everywhere All at Once. I picked the right one, so I'm glad about that. Actress supporting role, my dead cert, Ke Huy Quan. Absolutely deserved it. Actress' supporting role was a surprise. One of the surprise was a shocker. I thought Angela Bassett was going to win this one, but Jamie Lee Curtis came in and swiped in and took it from her. So Jamie Lee Curtis won for Everything Everywhere All at Once, which added, because I predicted Everything Everywhere All at Once was going to win 6. They ended up winning 7. That was the one that I didn't predict. Original screenplay, Everything Everywhere All at Once won. Best adapted screenplay, I thought a dead cert was going to be All Quiet on the Western Front, but I did mention that if it doesn't win, the one you might want to pick second would be Women Talking, and that's the one that ended up winning. International feature, All Quiet on the Western Front, that was a dead cert. I got that one also right. Animated feature, another dead cert, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. I got that one right. Documentary feature, Navalny. Original score, I thought the Banshees of Inisherin was going to get their award there, but they didn't. They were completely shut out. All Quiet on the Western Front, the first of a few surprises for that movie. They won original score. Original song, if I would have known this, I probably would have picked them, but I didn't know Not To from RRR was a a social media TikTok sort of viral video thing. If I would have known that, I probably would have picked them. But I didn't, but Not To won, and that was one of the highlights of the show when they did the performance live. I think everybody really loved that. Cinematography, I thought Elvis was going to get their Oscar there. They didn't. All Quiet on the Western Front got that one as well, so another surprise for that one. Costume design, I thought Babylon was going to win that one. They didn't. Black Panther Wakanda Forever got their lone Oscar for costume design, which is fine. The Wakandan costumes are extraordinary, so I'm glad that they actually got an Oscar this year. Editing, I picked Everything Everywhere All at Once. That one won. That was good. Makeup and hairstyling, picked The Whale. That one won. Production design, I thought Babylon was going to win. It didn't. All Quiet on the Western Front, again, steals another one that I thought was going to win. So those were crazy for me. Best sound, Top Gun Maverick. I predicted that. Visual effects, Avatar 2, predicted that. And for the shorts, animated short was The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. I still wish I could have heard Elizabeth Olsen say My Year of Dicks, but she didn't. Live action short was An Irish Goodbye, which I'm glad won because it's a very interesting story. So I'm glad that one won. And documentary short, The Elephant Whispers, won over How Do You Measure a Year. So that was Oscars 2023. I can put this away and I'll keep this one because I forgot. I didn't remember what I did last year. So I will keep this one hidden back there so I can do that. So the ratings were up 12% from last year, so that's a good sign. If they can keep doing similar stuff, maybe having nominees that people really want to see, instead of some of these, which I'm sure the independent ones that get nominated deserve the wins, but it's not for the general public. If you want to have good ratings, you're going to need to throw a bone here to some of them, and that's kind of what they did here, though they did, get it right for the most part. The Blockbuster website and Twitter account miraculously came back to life this week, posting new things and talking about new stuff, which is leading a lot of people to believe that they will be announcing something shortly, possibly a new streaming service, a return to physical shops, who knows, but they did, or it's just sort of a, hey, haha, we're messing with your head, but it has come back online here. So you can go if you want to. If you're on Twitter, you can go ahead and probably go back and follow Blockbuster. They're on there. Just do your search engine, type in Blockbuster, they'll probably show up. Go to a website, check that out, see what they've got going on there. So kind of interesting as well. The Chupa trailer is a Netflix show coming on April 7th, which is getting a lot of giggles from the Mexicans, Latin people, I should say. Mexicans can be slightly construed as racist, but try not to be. But I saw the trailer. Basically, Chupa looks like a version of E.T., but instead of an alien, it is a chupacabra. So you have a cute little chupacabras found by a young boy, and he and his friends have to try to reunite baby chupacabra with his family. Meanwhile, there are government officials who are trying to catch it, to study it and stuff like that. It's basically, as I said, E.T., but in Mexico and with a chupacabra instead of an alien. So it looks cute. It looks entertaining. And the joke is that in Spanish, chupa means sucker. So people are laughing about the title of the movie, saying, it's a movie called Sucker. Okay. So whatever. But I guess that's where chupacabra comes from, because they suck the blood out of animals. So we'll see. In one of the most bizarre stories of this week, I don't know if you grew up in the 80s. I think I might have seen it once or a part of it, because it's like a thing where a group of friends get together like on a Friday. So I didn't go out to do parties much because I wasn't very popular. But I have heard stories from other people who've said that they might go to these, person's house, and they might watch a video or something from Blockbuster usually. And Faces of Death was always the surprise one because it supposedly showed actual death. It's like different versions of death and how people die and stuff like that. And it actually showed people dying. I'm not sure if that's exactly true or not because that'd be just a version of a snuff film. Don't know how true that is, but it became sort of an urban legend. And supposedly it was a staple at parties for teenagers back in the 80s. As I said, never went to any because I wasn't very popular. Nobody really liked me that much. But I think I kind of remember either watching one when I had a group of friends or in college. It was something I probably didn't really want to watch. So I probably never really was invested in it. So I probably don't remember much about it. But supposedly, for whatever reason, because there's no new ideas in Hollywood, they are doing a remake. Now, we don't know for sure, again, urban legend, that the deaths you saw in Faces of Death were real. I highly doubt that they were, because that would basically be, as I said, snuff films, and that's not cool. And the fact that it was out available for really anybody to get just doesn't make a lot of sense. So I think it was probably, like a Blair Witch Project sort of thing where they made you believe it was true, but it wasn't. It was all directed and acted out. Well, this one we know is going to be directed and written by somebody. So, so there is going to be a remake of Faces of Death. And right now we got 2 stars attached to it. One is Stranger Things, Dacre Montgomery, who played Sadie Sink's abusive brother in the season 2 and 3. Was not in season 4 because he died in season 3. And Euphoria's Barbie Ferreira are been cast in Faces of Death. So that alone, when you're casting actors that people know about, is basically saying, hey, we're not really doing this, but hey, we're going to show people dying, and these are 2 people who are going to be dying. So, I mean, I guess you could get maybe not like totally famous celebrities, but people that people know. Euphoria and Stranger Things are hugely popular shows. You can get some more of those and have them, die in all the different ways you do it. There you go. You've got your movie. You could get some people to watch it. I don't know. It just seems like a really bad idea. And kind of a sick movie to kind of watch up there with Hostel, which is just basically an hour and a half of torture, which is just absolutely ridiculous. Which is the reason why I don't like Eli Roth. So we'll see what happens if that actually comes to pass. But yep, that's what's going on there. What was it? Good Burger 2 is officially a go at Peacock, or rather Paramount Plus, excuse me. The original cast from the Good Burger movie and the stuff that they did on Nickelodeon, Keenan and Kel, I believe, they are coming back to their roles. So it will be a film that is actually going to be coming out on Paramount Plus. They haven't filmed it yet, obviously. But if they start filming it soon, look for possibly coming out later this year or early next year. So I told you Ke Huy Quan won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. And during his speech, he thanked his entertainment lawyer, saying Goonies are forever, something Cohen. And I'm not really up on my sort of has-been actors. I thought that was just kind of an odd thing to say, but found out that his entertainment lawyer, Ke Huy Quan's entertainment lawyer, is his co-star who played Chunk in The Goonies. So that's kind of interesting to see that. Plus, it's also very nice to see Harrison Ford handed out the Best Picture Oscars, and the directors brought up the cast, and Key ran up and gave Harrison Ford a big hug and kiss. So, it's kind of cool, but that's an interesting thing to find out about. Denzel Washington and Barry Keoghan are signing on to the Ridley Scott's Gladiator prequel, sequel, whatever you want to call it, that's coming out. You're going to start getting worked on here real soon. So Ridley Scott's directing it, and then having those 2 actors in it. Not to say that the lead actor, who's kind of an unknown, it's not important, but to have those two jump on has just made this film one of the most anticipated films coming out probably next year, because they haven't even started filming it yet. Excuse me, I don't know why. I don't want to throw up here. So last year, Disney Plus did their Werewolf by Night Halloween special, and it was fairly successful. So much so that they did the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special a month or so later. Now, because it is successful, they've apparently have decided that they have their new Halloween special ready to go, and they haven't started working. Well, not ready to go, but they haven't filmed it yet. But I think they got the script ready, and they got their actor on board they want. But a while back, it was announced that Sacha Baron Cohen, yes, that one, very nice, Borat, is going to be playing Mephisto, which is the big joke that's been going on since WandaVision. But he officially was cast as Mephisto. And this is a rumor I've seen in more than one place. So it's not some of these websites that say this is what, they report breaking news. This is going to be what the story's about, or this is what is coming up next with Marvel, which is all just fanboys wanting to try to get, clickbait and stuff like that. This one's actually been hit on a couple of websites that are not these clickbait websites. Well, they're all clickbait, but I mean, ones that have been fairly correct with their breaking news. But supposedly Sacha Baron Cohen will be doing a Mephisto special for Disney Plus, more than likely prep for this upcoming Halloween, because it would make sense to have Mephisto come in as a Halloween special for Marvel for Marvel and Disney Plus. So that's good on that. My friend Mr. Gary Harris, will enjoy this. One of his favorite shows of all time might be coming back as a movie. Chuck. Zachary Levi, who is in the current Shazam sequel out in theaters this weekend, which made 30.5 million box office this week, and yet I don't see anybody saying, comic book movies are dying, and DC is lost its way and they suck, just like what they say about the Marvel things. This is just sort of like, we expected it because DC sucks anyway. But he has doing this round, doing the rounds of interviews and stuff like that. Zachary Levi has mentioned that there is a Chuck movie in the works. So how soon or when that's going to be, I couldn't tell you. But it is in the works, and we will have more information once it becomes available to us. Daisy Edgar Jones, I guess. I can't read my handwriting again, has been cast as the lead in Twisters, the sequel to Twister. She will be playing the daughter of Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton's characters, who is supposed to be going after a new batch of Twisters. Helen Hunt may make an appearance in the film, but nothing has been verified yet. This is the first casting news for Twister I've heard, so we'll probably, if this is the first one we're hearing, we're probably going to start seeing more of that, because it means they're probably going to start filming later this year. Fortunately, Bill Paxton will not be available since he passed away many years ago, so that'll be a shame. Excuse me. The Willow series, based on the popular movie starring Warwick Davis and Val Kilmer, has got a first season Disney Plus TV show, and then Disney Plus turned around and canceled it, the second season. However, the producer was like, well, we'll look at it as a goodbye, but more of a pause, meaning that they're probably working on getting the show somewhere else, or working out a deal with Disney Plus somehow, because they said the second season is already mapped out. So they want to do that as well. Speaking of Disney Plus TV shows, Daredevil Born Again, the new Daredevil series that's going to have like 18 episodes, so it's going to be Marvel's biggest series to date, has officially started filming. Sorry, I can't seem to get this frog out of my throat. So has started filming, and that's good. We'll start seeing more information as it comes about the series since it started film now, which means it should be hitting its target date. Even though everybody is screaming alarm now that Marvel has changed all the dates on their TV shows and movies to coming soon. So they're afraid that that's going to mean that everything's going to be pushed back or delayed. Doesn't necessarily mean that. It just means that maybe they're going to have a better date planned for it. So it's a bit disappointing because I was hoping to see some more Marvel stuff, despite all the assholes out there says, "Oh, you do too much." No, I don't think they do enough. Actually, I think we need more Marvel stuff. And these people aren't the true fans, but I've already got into that rant. I'm going to go any more like that. But Marvel's listening more to them than the true fans. So they're working on delaying these things, which is kind of terrible because that's going to leave us nothing for this year. We had Ant-Man, we're going to have Guardians of the Galaxy, and we're going to have Captain Marvel too, but that's it. We need more TV shows. Secret Invasion supposed to be out this week. She's been done for a while. We saw a trailer for it, but it hasn't even been announced when it's going to air. It should have aired like now. And now Loki 2, which looked like it was a dead cert to be out this summer, now says coming soon. So what does that even freaking mean? So it's pissing me off a little bit. And then all the other stuff like the Echo series and Ironheart, they're all in the can. They're done filming. Is it due to their visual effects issues you've been having or what? I don't understand. Or are you listening to these morons who says you're doing too much? Don't listen to them. Do what you want. Get the shows out there. I don't understand why these shows, and not just on Disney Plus, but on Netflix, stuff like that are already done, are being canceled. Just release the goddamn things, You're not going to lose any money because you've already spent it on it. Maybe you can get some money back. Maybe if you release this stuff, these shows that are almost done or whatever, maybe they'll become hugely popular and you'll have a hit on your hands. You don't know. Rant over. But anyway, so we'll see if that comes about. Anne Hathaway will be teaming with David Robert Mitchell for a Bad Robot production. Bad Robot is the J.J. Abrams production company there who's producing a dinosaur movie that not a lot of people know about, but Anne Hathaway has signed on to star in said dinosaur movie. So we'll see what that one's all about. The first trailer we're going to talk about today is Joyride. Featuring Stephanie Sue with producers, writers, Seth Rogen writing as well. It is a raunchy sex and drug comedy, which looks absolutely hilarious, about a group of friends, mostly Asian, who are going to China to discover the birth mother of one of their friends, and they get involved in drug trafficking and hot Chinese guys and your typical sort of raunchy sex comedy sort of stuff that has always been the area for men and stuff like that. But now we're going to have a group of women do this. And the last time we had one of those was that all African-American ladies one. I think Jada Pinkett Smith was in it, and there's others as well, who Tiffany Haddish, I think, was in as well, which surprised box office people by being a huge success. I forget what it was, like Girls Night Out or something like that, was a huge hit. So this one looks freaking hilarious. So it's called Joyride. If you have not seen the trailer, look at the more recent Joyride, which is the 2023 one. There was a Joyride movie that came out with Paul Walker before he passed away, which is a thriller. This is not that. This is a raunchy sex comedy with drugs and language and all kinds of fun stuff involved with it. So your typical sex sort of comedy, and coming from Seth Rogen, it's what you're expecting, really. Let's see. I saw science stuff. Monk, the Tony Shalhoub popular TV show, is going to be getting a movie on Peacocks with the popularity of Poker Face. They figured that detective sort of one-shots are popular again, so they're bringing back Monk for a return, which is weird because I thought he cured himself of his OCD, and so it wouldn't really be really interesting. So we'll see what happens, but that's coming up here real soon. March 17th was not only St. Patrick's Day, it is also Gertrude of Neville's Day. She is a patron saint of cats and cat lovers, so we should be celebrating that as well. Nancy Linehan and Ellie Kemper have joined the new comedy TV show called Drop Off, based on the British series Motherland, which I think is going to be about a bunch of either mom group or single moms or something like that that have to deal, a kid drop off sort of friend group and stuff like that. That's what it sounds like to me. Wendy McClellan Corey from the Goldbergs has got her new show lined up already. She'll be starring in a new medical comedy called St. Denis Memorial from the Superstore writers. We haven't had a really good medical comedy in a while. We have lots of medical dramas, but not a lot of medical comedies. And there is good comedy in some of these medical shows. So that's always a good thing to see if that's going to end up working out pretty well. Now, for the animal and science part of this, a squirrel was caught on camera trying to steal the Irish flag. He really wanted to celebrate St. Patrick's Day this year. So there's video of him trying to stuff the Irish flag into his mouth. Obviously did not work because it was still on one of its poles and it wasn't going anywhere, and it's too big anyway to fit inside this little squirrel. But it's still cute. A couple taking pictures for their wedding in this little jungle walkway area were surprised when a monkey jumped in and decided he wanted to be in the pictures as well. Jumped on the groom, jumped on the bride, was hanging out with them, was showing off, doing all kinds of stuff. So I think that's kind of funny. A dinosaur has been discovered in China. Not alive. It's fossils and stuff like that. That had a 49.5 foot neck, which for you to take you can still think about it's pretty deep, but pretty long rather. But think of it this way: the neck was as long as a school bus. So that was kind of interesting. That was in China. So dinosaurs were all kinds of crazy back in the old days. All right. And then recent volcanic activity has been discovered on Venus. I didn't really think this was much big news because we've known that Venus has been volcanic forever. I just guess maybe there hasn't been a lot of action and all of a sudden there's starting to be some. I don't know, but I've always thought that it was a constant volcanic system. Not like Io. Io is just a completely weird little bizarre thing anyway, which a lot of scientists now are blaming on Jupiter, its proximity to Jupiter, pulling its gravitational pull on the surface, causing all this volcanic activity on Io. But Venus has always been known to have sort of volcanic activity as well. And as I said, when I saw this and it seemed like, oh, there's all this new volcanic activity, it's like, well, sure, it's always been that way. So it's not like it's something brand new that just popped up. If you said Olympus Mons on Mars started to smoke, that would be news because there hasn't been any active volcanoes on Mars in a really long time. But Venus is just like, oh, okay. Kind of knew that anyway, but still kind of interesting to hear about that. Some death this week. The biggest one was character actor Lance Reddick. He was a character actor who appeared in tons of popular movies, shows, stuff, was still working as of this time. He died at the age of 60. He started his career off in what many consider to be the greatest TV show of all time, The Wire. He was, a regular in that. He had a 4-episode stint on the hugely popular series Lost. He is also Charon, I can't think of the Cosmopolitan, whatever, the hotel in the John Wick series. He's like their bellhop sort of type guy. He is in the new John Wick movie coming out, I believe, Friday. So that's not really going to be his last film, so he's got like 2 or 3 others in the can as well, but it will be the last time he's going to play Charon. Though they are saying John Wick 4 could be the last one for a little while. They want to take a little breather from the John Wick series. So it's understandable. You've done like 4 movies within a span of about 7 years, so it's crazy. The other bit, he was also in a TV show called Bosch, was the voice of Hellboy during I guess it's an animated movie with Hellboy. He was the voice of Hellboy in that, or in the video game, something like that. He was also cast in the 1-season Resident Evil series that was on Netflix, I believe, last year. And his next really big role that we're not going to really see him in until probably sometime next year is he was cast as Zeus in the Percy Jackson Disney Plus series. So we'll be able to see his last performance probably will be that show when it debuts, probably sometime in 2024. Lance Reddick passed away this week. He's the big death this week. Phillida Barbow is a British sculptor of playful, scale-defying sculptures. She died at the age of 78. Peter Linzel, saxophonist for the Fleshtones and the Dragsters. He passed away this week as well. And Wayne Shorter, jazz legend who collaborated with Miles Davis and Joni Mitchell, died at the age of 89 this week. More death to come on the next page. Anniversaries this week. I'm still playing Fortnite. I started playing in 2020 during the pandemic, but it had been around before then. And this week marks the 2000th day of Fortnite Battle Royale starting. So Fortnite Battle Royale was 2,000 days old this week. So that's interesting when you have a game that's 2,000 days old. It's kind of interesting. Evil Dead 2 with Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi directing came out in 1987 this week. So it's celebrating its anniversary, 87, 97, 2007, 2017. 35 years old. So it is 36 years old. 36th anniversary of Evil Dead 2. So that's that anniversary. V for Vendetta, which is weird because V for Vendetta was supposed to come out on Bonfire Night back in November, but it was pushed back to this time due to whatever reason. But it came out 18 years ago this week. That's one I need to probably rewatch again. And Final Destination, the original one, where a group of teenagers, this is like the tail end of the Scream sagas and stuff like that. But this is one of the last really good horror movies with a teenage, early 20 actors in it. Final Destination came out 2000, so it's 23 years ago this week. And another really good premise with that, where a group of teenagers survives getting killed in a plane crash, but because Death was expecting them to be there, Death starts stalking them, but you don't actually see Death. You just see weird things start happening and they start dying. So pretty interesting concept, and it started 4 or 5 series, movies, stuff like that. So and a reboot, I think. They did a reboot recently as well. All right, moving on. So last week I brought to you, there was a Nancy Meyers movie that was being looked at by Netflix, had a huge cast, and I can't remember the cast right now, but it was a huge cast. There was a lot of really popular stuff. Netflix passed on it due to, they believe the budget was going to be skyrocketing for like a romantic comedy sort of thing with all the hugely popular actors they're going to have in it. But never fear, because the WB is considering picking it up. I think it would be a really good idea for the WB to pick it up and release it in movie theaters. I think it will be successful, and I think it'll make its money back, because when you get big actors, an interesting concept and a good director, you're going to make some money probably in some form or another. Fox Studios is set to spend $1.5 billion on expansion of their studio set. So they'll be getting new studios for 20th Century Fox movies and TV shows. Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken, is DreamWorks, which I didn't think was still around, but their new animated movie coming out soon. The first trailer for that came out this week. REM's Losing My Religion hit 1 billion streams on Soundify or whatever the hell that is called, but Spotify. But yes, 1 billion streams for the song REM's Losing My Religion. So congratulations to them, since they're like my favorite band in the world. Michael Zegan, James Madre, Scott Cohen have joined the Penguin series, as has Theo Rossi as well. So it's in the middle of being filmed right now, and it's getting all kinds of interesting buzz as well. Jason David Frank's last film, Legend of the White Dragon, will be getting a full theatrical release this fall. So you'll be able to see his last film. Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson, who worked so well together in True Crime or whatever that show was on HBO. They did really, really well. Are going to be reuniting for an Apple Plus TV series that's going to be a comedy instead of a drama. So it'll be fun to see these two doing a comedy. They had really good chemistry in their HBO series. So it'd be nice to see them back together again. Sympathy for the Devil, the Nicolas Cage, Joel Kinnahan psychological thriller is set for July release. And Nicolas Cage as Dracula and Renfield is set for an April 14th release. So we'll be seeing Renfield and Nicolas Cage's version of Dracula before we see this one as well. On a side note for Nicolas Cage, he is having quite a week as well, as he has a viral meme going with him and Pedro Pascal. You've probably seen it on TikTok and Reels and stuff like that. So yeah, good for him. Gina Gershon, Tim Dillon, Rich Hoffman, Gabriel Davenport, Thomas Sinelli, and Jenna Homer have all joined Eli Roth's Thanksgiving movie. And it's going to start filming soon, probably in advance of, no, it has actually started filming this week, in advance of probably trying to come out in time for Thanksgiving. So we'll see about that. Again, I'm not an Eli Roth fan, but I've always been a fan of Thanksgiving. So I think a horror movie set around Thanksgiving could be interesting, but it's Eli Roth, so we'll see. Duncan Hines has a new Epic Cinnabon muffin mix that you can make now. So you can make Epic Cinnabon muffins if you like that type of stuff. The Smile movie, as expected, is going to be getting a sequel. No one expected it not to, because it made a good amount of money. A24, who is riding really high, they are the first studio in history to have the Best Picture, Best Director, all the acting awards, because The Whale was an A24 picture as well. All the acting awards, I think that's it, were the studio that had movies that won all those awards. I think it's one of the first studios to have that. So congratulations to them. They are going to be re-releasing a new remastered version of Jonathan Demme's concert film for Talking Heads, Stop Making Sense. Came out in the 80s, was a hugely popular concert, and Jonathan Demme, director of Silence of the Lambs, stuff like that, was did a really good job, and it was a great moment for Talking Heads fans. And it sort of has been around, but it hasn't had a really good remastering and a re-release in a while. So now they're going to be doing that thanks to A24. So good for them to do that. Jason Ritter has also joined the cast of the Matlock reboot. I believe he is the son of Jack Ritter. I'm sorry, not Jack. John Ritter, excuse me, the famous actor who was taken away from us too soon. Brian May, famous musician, writer, so on and so forth like that, has been knighted. He is now Sir Brian May. This is kind of not a shock, but kind of, I guess it'd be okay. But Gattaca was one of my favorite movies from the 90s. Ethan Hawke, Uma Thurman, Jude Law. And this is the one where Uma and Ethan got together, started dating, got married, had a bunch of kids, including Maya Hawke. And eventually they broke up, obviously. But this is the movie that set it up. It's a great Andrew Nichols film, outstanding story, just a great, fun, entertaining science fiction film. And Showtime wants to make a TV series about Gattaca, which I guess it depends on how you take it, because the Gattaca movie story is a unique story on its own, but I guess you don't really want to redo the whole film, right? I mean, we get the theory. There are people out there who were not born in a test tube, and they want to succeed just as much as everyone else. So they try to get an advantage, and that's what the movie's about. I hope they don't do something like that. Now, if they can do something like they did with Snowpiercer, which was, generally just the idea of the film, and then they turned it into a TV show that lasted 3 seasons and actually expanded on the Snowpiercer idea. If they can do something like that, maybe this might be okay, but it's still one of those where I'm just like, okay, we'll see. Jack Black and the Farrelly brothers are going to be reteaming again. They haven't reteamed in a while, but now they're going to be reteaming together to do a live-action version of a 2017 animated short called Dear Satan, which I believe, from what I've been reading between the lines stuff about also, I don't know much about it, but I believe some kids who were trying to write letters to Santa Claus accidentally transpose the letters to make it say Satan, and Satan gets the letters and decides to go and grant the kids their wishes or whatever, but with his own sort of satanic way of doing things. So Jack Black makes a perfect sense. He and the Farrelly brothers work well together. That sounds like a good thing up their alley. So good on that. Sweet Tooth Season 2 debuts on April 27th on Netflix. So that's one series I'm surprised is getting a second season, considering how Netflix has been canceling everything left and right, but good for them. Now, this is so weird. So there's a big movie coming out here in a couple of weeks called Air, which is going to Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. It's going to focus on the Michael Jordan Air Jordan shoes and the creation of them. And you got Ben Affleck and Matt Damon involved. Okay. Sure. A movie about shoes. Okay. I suppose. And then we got the Flaming Hot Cheetos movie is also on its way. We got our first teaser of that this week. Yes, there's a movie about Flaming Hot Cheetos. And the teaser came out this week, so you can look that up as well. And then there's that one about Tetris is coming out here soon too, which is the creation of Tetris. So now they're making these movies about like everyday things, because I guess there's an interesting story behind them. I mean, the Air Jordan one is like, how did they get, how one guy picked Michael Jordan before he was Michael Jordan to be the spokesman for these Air Jordan shoes, and no one knew what he was going to do. They saw his potential, but they didn't know how good he was going to be. And so he's putting everything on the line for this guy that he believes is going to be huge. And he got lucky because he did, but you know, that's an interesting story, I guess. The Flaming Hot Cheetos, maybe not so much, but it's still an intriguing idea. And we'll see how it works. The first teaser for it just has a kid trying it and saying, these are great. These are hot, though. And the parents are like, good, hot, or bad? Hot. He's good, hot. He's like, yeah, we have a success. So it's about how they created it. So it could be interesting to see that. I mean, Tim Burton did a movie called Big Eyes about these paintings, you know? So I guess you can do these types of movies, and they come out periodically. But it seems like there's a whole bunch of them out here. And then the Tetris one was the whole thing that happened during the Cold War. So there was espionage and spy stuff like that about a video game. So that's intriguing as well. So now we have another one, which is the long way getting to this point. Another trailer. I mean, the Flaming Hot Cheetos one teaser came out this week. Another teaser trailer came out this week. This one is a movie about the rise and fall of the BlackBerry. Yes, the little phone thing. Yes, that's a movie that is actually going to be out in theaters. Again, up there with the Nike Air stuff and the Flaming Hot Cheetos and the Tetris stuff. So 2023 is going to be like the year of the weird stuff being made into a movie sort of thing. So could it be good? Absolutely. So we'll find out. But yeah, we'll see. But it's weird, you know? Jodie Comer, who for me is most famous for being a Free Guy, but she was in this other lesbian spy show that was on Amazon or something like that. But she's a hot commodity right now. There are rumors that she was going to be playing Sue Storm of Fantastic Four. Still could. They haven't announced yet. But she has signed on, probably not that, but she has signed on to take the lead in the Blade Runner 2099 series that Amazon Prime is going to do. So if indeed she is going to take the role of Sue Storm, it's possible she'd be able to do both, but we'll see. But she is now to be in talks to be the lead in the Blade Runner 2099 series as well. And there's another 2099. There it is. Jeremy Podson who was a Game of Thrones director, will be directing the pilot for Blade Runner 2099 for Amazon Prime. So you're going to get a good behind the scenes director sort of involved in this. So with Jodie Comer joining the series, this might be an interesting one to take a look at. So we'll see how that goes. We got our first look at Bupkis, which is a new comedy with Pete Davidson, Edie Falco, and Joe Pesci. Doctor Who's first spinoff has been announced. It's going to be based on Kate Stewart and the Unit, which is a group of people that help the Doctor periodically do things as well. It's a military group, I believe, so we'll have that coming on. Let's see. Oscar Isaac, Andrew Garfield, and Mia Goth are in talks for Guillermo del Toro's next live action film, which is going to be a remake, I think, of Frankenstein. So that'll be interesting to see how they do that. Ryan Reynolds' Mint Mobile company has been bought by T-Mobile for $1.35 billion, not million, $billion, $1.35 billion for Mint Mobile. And Ryan Reynolds is a part of the shareholders of that. So he just got a massive payday as well. So good for Ryan Reynolds on that end. The lost mouse deer species that has not been seen in 30 years has been spotted again. So they appear to be making a comeback as well. It's always good to hear. That's why I always like to mention these when animals believed to be extinct or close to extinction have been spotted again, meaning that they're starting to make a slight comeback. Radio beats TV in viewers for the first time ever. I guess the different ratings for different things has discovered that more people were listening either to sporting events or whatever on the radio than watching them on TV. Has never happened before and probably will never happen again, but there we go. It has happened. 2 Loch Ness monsters were spotted together in some most recent webcam coming on. So that's interesting that there could be more than one Loch Ness monster, which would explain how it could be still surviving here 70 to 100 years later. The limited edition Hershey's white cream with sprinkles and popping candy bars have been spotted in the wild, which to me is kind of odd because you figure you want to wait till like 4th of July, which is always a time when you get sort of these candies that have the poppers in it because it feels like fireworks in your mouth, and then sprinkles on top of that. But apparently they're out there in out there in the wild right now. Another big death is one of the best ever baseball names and a great player on the end. Joe Pepitone passed away. He was a former Yankees player and again has a great name, Joe Pepitone. He passed away this week. Anniversaries. The Wolverine is 10 years old. That's the one, not the one with Ryan Reynolds. And not the one where he's old man Logan. This one is the one in between those where he goes to Japan to do his samurai stuff. So that was, and I think the director of that directed Logan in the end. So I think that was kind of good, his first take on it. But it's 10 years old this week. The Hudsucker Proxy, the Coen brothers crazy film, his anniversary is this week as well. 1994. It'll have its big anniversary next year. 30-year anniversary next year. The Book of Mormon, my wife's favorite Broadway show of all time, and a decent show in its own right. I really enjoyed it as well. It debuted and opened on Broadway 12 years ago this week. So congratulations to Book of Mormon. In fact, it's only been 12 years. It feels like it's been out forever, which is crazy. On top of that, this is something I didn't hear, but not on this notes, but the Kennedy Center had to remove the Kiss of the Spider Woman run that they had planned for May. And instead, they brought back Spamalot, which has not been seen in the wild for a really long time. So I might have to go down and see that again. It's been a long time since I've seen it. And my daughter has an interest in seeing it too. So I might have to get myself some tickets and check it out with my daughter. So that'd be great. But Spamalot will be coming back to the Kennedy Center in May. So that's outstanding. For my friend Kim, who loves pickles, Frank's Red Hot, I put that shit on everything, has a new flavor now, dill pickle flavored hot sauce, which doesn't sound that enticing to me, but would probably be enticing to my friend Kim. Alien Romulus has started filming now. This is an intriguing film with a hugely young cast, and the name of Romulus as the subtitle is kind of an interesting little thing to see. And the picture they have is the alien looking after a younger child. So it's kind of interesting to see where this might be going. So that could be really kind of interesting to see where that is heading. During the Oscars, they showed the Little Mermaid live action full trailer for the first time. Again, it's probably going to do great. It should do great. It looks fine, but I'm just not a fan of Little Mermaid. It doesn't matter about who's cast in it. I could give a rat's ass if the lead character is Asian or Black or white or Korean, or I guess that's Asian, or German or whatever. It doesn't matter to me because the story itself is a shitty story. But that's just me. Music is fine, but the story itself is a shitty story. And the live action film looks like it's going to do well, and it should do well, and hopefully it will do well because it's going to upset the conservatives who say that the Little Mermaid should only be white, which is freaking ridiculous. And that's why I want it to be successful, but I will not be seeing it because I do not like the Little Mermaid. And that even goes to do with the animated version of it. I did not like that as well. The music, again, is great. And Jodie Benson is the voice. She's a local girl, so it's kind of nice that she did that. But it's a terrible movie, story-wise. Great music, as I said. But story-wise, it's awful. And I have no desire to see it. So... Only Murders in the Building Series 3 teaser trailer popped up this week as well during the Oscars and gave us our first appearance of Paul Rudd and also of Meryl Streep. And Meryl Streep looks like she's going to be playing a absent-minded woman, which looks absolutely hilarious. So that'll be fun to watch that as well. Quentin Tarantino's making news doubly this week. His big news this week is that for those who follow Quentin Tarantino, you know he's been saying for years he only plans on making 10 movies. And he skirted the issue a little bit, making Kill Bill Volume 2 technically the same as Volume 1. I'm counting it as one film. And then the short film he did for the Death Proof that he did for the Grindhouse movie, he does not consider that a full film as well either. So once you take out those things, you know, he is on his 9th film. He just finished his 9th film. His 10th film, he announced, could very well be a movie called The Movie Critic. And it could be a story about a actual female movie critic out there. I don't know if she's going to have something violent happen to her or be involved in some mafia thing, which is like every single freaking Quentin Tarantino thing. But we'll see. But that is right now, that's going to start production, they believe, this fall. And it could very well be the last film he ever makes. He says he wants to focus more on doing writing novels and doing TV, since he's got a streaming show coming out really soon as well. But he will probably not be doing any more theatrical films. Now, obviously, that could change, and actually that makes me even more happy because that means that he's not going to do that god-awful Star Trek movie that he was planning on doing, which I think would have been absolutely lousy if he would have been allowed to do a Star Trek movie. So glad it turns out that's not going to be the case here. So we have that, and also a Pulp Fiction pinball machine is being put in the works with Quentin's advice on how to make it better. So we'll be seeing a Pulp Fiction pinball machine here in a little bit. Now, at the Oscars, and my wife and family can back this up, when Florence Pugh and Andrew Garfield came out to give out Oscars, I think, from like documentary shorts, or they did something. I forget what it was. I said, you know, it would be fun to see the two of them together in a movie. Because I think, you know, Florence Pugh and Andrew Garfield working together would be outstanding, because they both seem to have a lot of fun and not take themselves too seriously. And I think it would be a really neat idea to have them do a movie together. And literally the next day, it was announced on Deadline, I believe, that Florence Pugh and Andrew Garfield are being courted to be cast in a love story called We Live in Time. And I think that would be outstanding. And literally, when I saw that article, I like subtweeted or sub-Facebooked it, whatever, and said, I told you, they listened to me. They heard me. I think it would be outstanding if you can get them to both sign for this film. I think it would be great to see them. It's also good to see Andrew Garfield coming out of his self-imposed exile, which is fine. He had to recover with the loss of his mother and just a lot of things going on in his life. And it's good they took a step back, but now it looks like he's starting to get antsy again and want to get into the movies again. Still probably won't be anything this year. All the stuff that he's been rumored to be involved will probably not make its first appearance until next year. So he's still got a little ways of time, but at least he's going to maybe start working here soon. But if they can get the two of them together to be cast in this romantic film love story called We Live in Time, I think that would be outstanding. And I think it would be a really, really good film, depending on what the story is. But I hope it happens. I hope it really does. The Wicked film adaptation now, the film adaptation of the musical Wicked has been split into two parts. You're going to have part 1 and part 2. And the first part, I think they're filming it right now. They said the first part was not going to debut until Christmas of 2024, which is still a full year and a half away. Even more than that, actually, because it's only March. But they have moved the date up because I guess they're ahead of schedule, or they want to strike when the fire is hot. They have moved it up to Thanksgiving 2024, so that'll be good. So it's moved about a month earlier, so that's a good sign that we'll be seeing it sooner than later. So good on that as well. Oscar Isaac will be executive producing and starring in a series. I don't know where is this, on Hulu or Paramount or whatever, called Helltown, where he'll be portraying Kurt Vonnegut, and the actual writer Kurt Vonnegut. I guess this is maybe kind of based on true story or whatever. I don't know, but it was set during the time before Vonnegut became a hugely popular writer. And there's a grisly murder that happens in his hometown that he believes is the work of a serial killer, and he decides to go and investigate it. So that's what the movie is, or the TV show is going to be based on, with Oscar Isaac playing Kurt Vonnegut. Giant blob of seaweed, a giant seaweed blob, the width of the United States, is setting its eye on Florida. So it means Florida's going to get inundated here real quick with a giant mass of seaweed very soon. So I don't know if that's good, bad, indifferent, or what. I don't know, but it's going to make it really hard to go swimming in the beaches. So they might suffer. And of course, with Florida turning into a fascist state, couldn't happen to a better state. But you don't want to say that, because not everybody in that state is a fascist asshole. And it's not as easy to say, well, if you don't like, if you are screaming about not our Floridians support DeSantis, and then people are calling back to you saying, well, then why don't you just move out there? It's not that easy. Your job is in Florida. Your family, your friends, whatever, they're all in Florida. You like the climate. You like where you live. You like your house, that sort of stuff. You're not just going to give that up, though, if it does become a fascist state, it's going to become a lot worse. It already is on its way to be a fascist state. So, but I can understand that. But that could be a huge problem for Florida, which, could happen to a better thing. Well, DeSantis is still in business there. A 1,600-year-old demon-slaying master sword has been uncovered in Japan. So I think I might have done that story before, but that's just kind of an interesting little thing as well. Oh my God, there's always one of these. All right, I can't read this. I'll take a look at that later. The Angry Black Girl and Her Monster is going to be a new film, which is going to also be an updated version of Frankenstein. So that's kind of interesting sort of take on it. American Born Chinese, based on the graphic novel that came out around the turn of the century, is beginning a Disney Plus TV series. I talked about this a while back, but now we got our first teaser of that. And it came out right before the Oscars, because apparently, I didn't know this, Ke Huy Quan, Michelle Yeoh, and Stephanie Su are all going to be in this as well. So they wanted to spotlight them. I know I have the graphic novel. I'm pretty sure the graphic novel back there, but it's buried under stuff, and I haven't been able to get a chance to find it and read it. But I heard it's a really good story. But they did the first teaser trailer for that, and they will be popping up on Disney Plus May 24th. Oh, Flaming Hot Cheetos teaser trailer. The movie itself is going to hit June 9th on Hulu. Ulagiska giganti, I'm sorry, is a creature in the Antarctic which has a glittery golden mane attached to this sort of fish-like sort of thing. It's a weird-looking little creature. A cruise company is making a play to get remote workers to sail around the world for them for $30,000. They'll be able to sail around the world and remote work from the cruises that they're doing. So that's an interesting little take on thing. Orange vanilla cream M&Ms are coming back after a hiatus of a few years. The GameStop film Dumb Money is set for October 20th, 2023 release in movie theaters. Machete Kills Again in Space, the Robert Rodriguez film he's been talking about for a while, speaking of the Grindhouse movies and stuff like that. He is saying that this film needs to be done like immediately, so it's probably going to become his next big project. Another one I can't. Oh, watching Rick and Morty is good for dogs. So currently, if you are a dog lover and you let your dog watch Rick and Morty, it's good for them. Okay. Oh yeah, Sunkissed watermelon lemonade soda is coming. So that's a new soda that's making its way in there. Wendy's famous chili is now going to be canned and released in grocery stores for your liking. If you don't want to have to go to Wendy's all the time to get your fill of Wendy's chili, you can now get it at the grocery store in canned format. Lindsay Lohan is pregnant. Congratulations to Lindsay Lohan. Looks like she's getting her life back together. She had a fairly popular Christmas movie come out on Netflix. I think she's working on another one due out next Christmas as well. And now she's pregnant. So good on that. Good Lord. Prime has renewed Citadel for a second season before the first season is even debuts. I talked about that show last week when the trailer came out. I like when companies do that, when you tell the production company, hey, you're going to get a second season. You already got your first season done, but you got a second season, so you can start working on it now, and let's move it on there a little bit. This Is Where I Leave You trailer with Jane Fonda, Adam Driver, Tina Fey, and Jason Bateman popped up this week. It looks fairly funny. This family comes back together. They haven't seen each other for a while. Come back together to go to the funeral of their dad, I believe. And their mom, played by Jane Fonda, is angry that they haven't really kept in touch with each other. So she says for 7 days they are grounded and cannot leave the house. So it's them to try to reconnect with themselves. So it's kind of interesting. Josh Hutcherson, who hasn't been seen doing much since the Hunger Games movies, has been cast in a sci-fi film called The Last Twist or something like that. Last Time. Can't read my handwriting, but it's up there, and it's the sci-fi film, so it should be doing pretty good. Oh yeah, NASA photographs the Starfleet logo on Mars. It's like last week, talked about the silly cartoon bear that popped up on the pictures from the overhead satellite. This one has one that looks a rock that looks like the Starfleet insignia. So it's nothing over nothing. So whatever. Dallas Fort Worth, Texas is building a 72-acre film studio for people to make movies in Texas and put money towards the community there. Seal breaks into New Zealand home, traumatizes cat, hangs out on couch. It's kind of interesting. Oh, Japanese astronomer. Here's the one I couldn't understand. Japanese astronomer catches a meteorite smashing into the moon. That's the one I couldn't read, so I got that. The trailer for Mrs. Davis looks absolutely crazy. It's from some of the writers of Big Bang Theory and Damon Lindelof. And the premise is just basically a nun who's like sort of like a warrior nun sort of thing, is tasked with taking down an AI that's sort of taken over the world, and it's her job to stop it. But it is an absolutely insane trailer. If you haven't seen it yet, check it out. It actually looks really entertaining. It's on Hulu or Peacock or Paramount Plus. I'm not going to be able to see it anyway, but it looks fun though. Some anniversaries and a death before I do my last story for the week. Anniversaries, my cousin Vinny came out in 1992, which is 31 years ago. This week, the movie 300 came out 2007 this week, which is 16 years old this week. And death, Dick Fosbury, who is a high jumper that revolutionized the sport of high jumping, died this week as well. And finally, the last story for this pretty quick-paced episode of Dylan Knows. Ants and fungi are waging war with each other. And it's over land, territory, or something like that. But ants are going up against fungi, and fungi aren't just giving up. So there is a war going on underneath our feet right now between ants and fungi. So kind of interesting to see that, when you think about wars and stuff like that, you think about like the World War, stuff like that, but also in the animal kingdom or insect kingdom or whatever, life kingdom, whatever, these things can happen as well. And you just got to imagine putting on the scale like a World War II, like this ant fungi war is like a World War II sort of scenario. So it's just kind of funny to think about that. So that's it. That's all I got for today. So thanks. It was a weird week. Have a great week coming up. As I said, spring is sprung. This is the last episode of Dylan Knows for the winter of 2022-2023. Spring is here.